Hello, everyone. Now we are going to learn, as we do every Thursday, the HafTorah of this Torah of this week's reading. HafTorah. This week's as the other 7 weeks after Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av was the holiday that we celebrate the destruction of the first and second temple. We celebrate, we commemorate, we remember. When Mashiach comes, we'll celebrate it also. But in any case, the 9th day of which was just a couple weeks ago, is the day when the temple was destroyed, and so after that, you have 7 weeks on Shabbat, 7 Shabbats that we read the HafTorah, the portion of the prophets. Usually it's prophets after the Torah reading, and they are portions of comfort, and they come from Isiah. And even though that Isiah, the first 40 whatever chapters of Isiah, contains a lot of reprimanding of the Jewish people, because the Jewish people really let God down. But the last 26 chapters of Isiah is only full of comfort, how much God loves the Jews, how he's going to gather up the Jews. He's got to gather up Jerusalem, and that there's not going to be any non-Jews in Jerusalem, non-believers of God in Jerusalem. Okay, so let's go. Now, interestingly enough, this prophecy really relates to now. Because when did he prophesy? He prophesied something like 100 years, whatever, before the destruction of the first temple. And he's giving comfort to the Jews on things that are only really relevant to now, after the destruction of the second temple. Even though you can sort of push it and say that it's talking about right back then. And the fact is, if the Jewish people had not sinned, there wouldn't have been a first destruction. There would be just a first temple, that's it. But because they did sin, so then there didn't have to be I'm sorry, there didn't have to be a second temple. If the Jews hadn't sinned, then the second temple would have been it. That's enough. The second temple. But because they did sin, so now there's going to have to be a third temple. So that's basically what this is talking about, the third temple. Comfort for the third temple. Here it goes. 51st chapter of Isiah. Anochi Anochi hu menachemchem. Says God, I'm not going to send my prophets anymore. I'm not going to send visions. I personally will come and comfort all the Jews. How we're going to do it, you'll see. Mi at v'tiri, why? Who are you to be afraid from people? And yomut, that people just died. Jews, why are you afraid of people? Umi ben adam, from human beings, chatzir yonaten. They're just like this sort of, chaff on the ground that dries up like in a minute. But tishkach Hashem osecha, and you have forgotten God, your creator. Nota shemayim v'oretz, that creates the heavens and the earth. That spreads out the heavens and founds the earth. And he does it now. It's not so that he did it a long time ago. God is creating the heavens and the earth. But tafached tamid kol hayom mibenei chamas hamatzik, and you're always afraid of what the enemy is going to do to us. Kasher konin lashchit, that he's going to destroy you. Va'ayeh chamat hamatzik, and where is the destroyer? In other words, what are you being afraid of? The enemy, when in fact the enemy has no power over you. Now you have to realize this is Isiah. He's talking about just like it is today. The Jews are outnumbered 100 to 1, 500 to 1, 10 to 1, however it will be, by their enemies. And he's saying the words of God. He's saying, listen, there's nothing to be afraid of. God is controlling everything. But the fact is, because the Jews are, yes, afraid, so they do all these crazy things, and they want to ingratiate themselves to the non-Jews. Mihar soa lipatach. Soon the doors, whatever, will open up. Below yamut l'shachat, and you will not die in imprisonment And even when you are in imprisonment, in a time of exile, you won't be lacking bread. In other words, God's saying, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. I am God, your God. Roga hayom, I count down the seas. Yamu galav, and I can raise up its waves. Let me just see if I get this right. 1 minute. 1 minute. Where is this? Oh, there. Yes. 1 second. Excuse me. Yes. Oh, that's right. We'll raise up the. That's right. It makes the waves like rage and whatever. Hashem Tzavot. I am Hashem Tzavot. The name of God is the God of hosts. And there's all the hosts of heaven and all the hosts of earth. God said, I control them. I will put my words, I have placed my words in your mouth. He's talking here either to Isaiah or to all the Jewish people, because the Jewish people have the Torah. The Torah are the words of God. And when you say, you're saying the words of God. And with the shadow of my hand, I have covered you and protected you. It's also explained that this is talking about the commandments, because the commandments are encompass. Notice Shammai v'Yosef. Yes, I spread out the heavens and I found the earth. Lamor, and I am saying, Letzion, to the Jewish people, Amiata, you are my people. Hitori. Right, this is Isaiah speaking, Isaiah 51. This is the HafTorah of this week's Shabbat. We read this after the reading of the Torah. Hitori, wake up, Kumi. Stand up, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. Asher shatit miyad Hashem, that you have drunk from the hand of God, et kos chamato, a full measure of his cup of wrath, anger. Bet kubat kos tarela, and the sediments from the cup of tarela. Here he says it means like confusion, or what does he say? Calamity, no. Bewilderment. Huh? Tarela. That's the other explanations say the same thing. Shatit matsit, you have drunk it to the end. So this seems to be that it's talking about, because when Isaiah was saying this, the Jewish people this was before the temple was destroyed. So the Jewish people really didn't get into the hardcore suffering yet. So he says, don't worry about it. And menahel lo, there is no one that can cry for you. Mikol banim yalada, from all the children you've given birth to, ein machzik biyada, no one can hold on to your hand. Mikol banim gidela, from all of the children that you have brought up. Huh? Yeah, just 1 minute. That's right, that's right, good. Okay. In other words, what's he saying? What has befallen to the Jewish people has not occurred to any other nation in the whole world. I mean, either God just destroys them and that's it. You know, you don't see any Babylonians around or Chaldeans or whatever, or, you know, Ashur, people in Ashur, all these other nations, they don't exist anymore. There was one, they get shmeiced one time, that's it. But the Jewish people over and over again, they get scattered and they get raped and they get murdered and they get burned and they get destroyed, and then they get they expelled from a country, and more punishments and more punishment. We see, like just recently, there was, you know, this guy Herzl stood up and he said, I got the solution for Jewish problems. What? We won't be God's people anymore. We'll be a nation, like Mexicans have a country, right? Scandinavians, they have their area, whatever. So we Jews will have our country. and we won't be connected to God, and we're not the chosen people. We'll just be a nation like every other nation, like like Scottish have their country, and we have our country. That's a pretty good idea. And then people won't hate us anymore. We'll just be another. And of course, it didn't work. We just haven't. It just gave everyone another reason to hate us, because the fact is, a Jew is always a Jew, no matter what. And in a way, it's better to suffer for the truth than to profit because of a lie. The Jews are the truth. The Jews are the truth. That's the truth. We have to suffer because of it. What can we do? We would like to get out of it, right? Herzl had a great idea to get out, but you can't. It's just truth. Truth never dies. But on the other hand, the suffering is incomprehensible. Shtayim hine kraticha mi yanud lach. Twice I have called you. What is this? Excuse me 1 minute. No, right. 2 calamities have befallen you. Who can possibly comfort you? What are these 2 calamities? It says, Hashod v'hashever, the ransacking and the breaking and the hunger and the sword. Who is there in the world that can possibly comfort you? No one can say, oh yeah, I went through the same thing, I got over it. No one has been such a thing. Banayech ulfu, your children have fainted. They're lying in the streets. Kato, like some sort of a ox or something, michamar, that's trapped. Hamaleim chamas Hashem, because of they are full of God's anger. Ga'arat elokayach, the screaming out of God, the rebuke of God. So, okay, Jews, you did bad, and you really, really paid for it. But here you are. After all, God loves you, and He's never going to let you go. No matter how much you want to run away from Him, it's not going to work. Therefore, Shimino. So listen, Aniya, you poor one. Shechura, that you are drunk, v'lo miyayin, and not from wine. Ko amar Hashem. Adonai, this is what your master God says. Elokayech, that your God, Yariv Amo, I will fight the battles of my people. I will defend you. Hine lakachti miyadech et kos atarela. I will take from you this cup of retribution, et kubat kotachamati, and the dregs of the cup of my anger. Dotosifi lishtoto or, and you won't drink it anymore. So if you wonder why it is that the Jews in the land of Israel, and they're trying as much as they can to do, as many sins as they can, the government has filled the land of Israel with these missionaries. I mean, it's just, atrocious. It's just, I don't know how to say it. The word just how crooked the whole thing is. It just doesn't make any sense. V'samtia biyad Monich, one second. Hello. Ken. אני לא בדקתי, Okay, it's not going to happen anymore. You're drunk, but not from wine. Just one moment. Right. You're drunk, but not from wine. In other words, Jewish people now, if you're doing, that's what I was trying to say. The Israeli government now, I mean, it's just terrible. They're just, they encourage all these weird, decadent parades and all this crazy stuff. I mean, it's totally against what God wants. It's totally against Judaism. It's against common sense. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. And arming the Arabs, the worst Arabs, they pick the worst guys. I mean, if you want to make peace with the Arabs, at least pick, there's nice people. There's nice. No, they pick the worst murderers possible because they smile and they know how to wear a tie or something. So they give them more land. It's just really quite incredible. So it says, you Jewish people, you're all drunk. You don't know what's staggering around like a total, how do you say, alcoholic, but not from wine, because of all the troubles. all the pains, you're going crazy because, and you can't blame them. What do you want after the Holocaust? After all this, what are the Jews supposed to say? Oh, so let's be religious. They're just all out of their minds. They don't know what to do. That we tried to be like the Jews, and they're just not. They don't want us. They just kill us and they destroy us. Oh, so says God. I will fight for you. Right. I will put you. Okay. And you won't have to drink it. V'samtia biyad mogayach. This cup of retribution, I will put that in the hand of those who oppress you. Asher omru l'nafshech, that they say to you, shechi v'navorech, lay down on the ground so they can walk over you. V'tasimi ke'eretz gavech, and put your body on the ground. U'kachutz l'ovrim, and like a street for people to walk on. Okay. That's not the end. We're almost the end. This is the end. Uri, wake up. Put on your power, Tzion, Jews. Leave she bigdei tifarteich. Put on the garments of your glory, Yerushalayim, the holy city. Ki lo yosif yavo od, because there will not come into you. I won't let enter your city orel v'tamei, a uncircumcised people and impure people. And it says in the explanation, one of the explanations, that this is the orel, that's talking about the church, right, the Christians, and the tamei is talking about the Muslims. Because it's true, they claim, they worship God and everything like that, but their actions do not actually follow their words. Right? They're not exactly follow their words. Orel v'tamei. Okay. Hidnari, wake up, me'afar komi, from the ground, stand up. Shvi, return, Yerushalayim. V'hit patchi mosurei tzavarech, and take off the chains from your neck. Shvia basion, the, how do you say, imprisoned one, the captive daughter of Zion. Huh? This is what God says. But listen, you have to realize what's going on over here. Here, he's prophesying to the Jewish people, right? Now, the Jewish people are going to be expelled from their land. That's who he's prophesying. Like I said, he was prophesying in the middle of the first temple, a little bit after the middle of the first temple. He's prophesying. And he's saying that after all the exile, you're going to come back. There was no exile yet. The Jewish people had not been exiled. So he's talking to Jews now, after 2,000 years of not being in the country anymore. They still have their Jewish identity. Take a Japanese, a German, anyone you want to, the most super nationalistic, fanatic maniac, and take him out of his country for like 100 years. He's not loyal to his country anymore. For 200 years, he doesn't even know, doesn't care about the country at all. 2,000 years, not what to talk about. Here we have Jews 2,000 years. They're still loyal to Judah. They know that they're Jews. And Isaiah is prophesying to them. And he's saying, this is what God says. You're all going to come back. Chinam nimkartem. You were put into exile for no reason. Some people say this means that the sins that you did, they didn't pay off. Right? What did you do? You had big debauched parties, or who knows what you did for 2,000 years. Right, 2,000 years, what do they call it? The orgies or whatever you want. What did you get out of it? What do you got to show for it? You sold yourself into exile for nothing, for the chinam. V'lo b'kesef, and also not with money will you be redeemed. God said, for no reason, I'm going to take you out also. I'm going to get you all out for no reason. And we see there's so many Jews, I know, so many Jews nowadays that have returned to do Torah and the commandments for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Absolutely no reason. They could care less about heaven or hell. It means absolutely nothing to them. It means absolutely nothing that they want to be part of the Jewish people. They want to be this. They just do it because they feel it's the truth. Yeah, it's unexplainable. Because this is what God, now it's happening. This is what God said. Mitzrayim yoradi mi b'rishona l'gur sham. The Jewish people went down to Egypt to live there for a while. So therefore, the Egyptians could say, okay, listen, you stayed here and you ate here, right? The Jews went down with Jacob and his sons, and we fed you, we provided for you. So you owe us something. So they put them into imprisonment, right? Then the Jews started the exile. But Ashur, which that's basically the exile now, the Ashurians, you didn't owe them anything, right? They had no debt. You had no debt to them. They just for no reason put you into prison, into exile. Now, Mali Pono Hashem. What do I have to do with these other nations? That they took my people for no reason. They didn't pay anything back. Moshlo Yehelilu Naum Hashem. One minute. The rulers, that's right. The rulers, Moshlo, the rulers of these countries where they are, they praise themselves. Where do we know? What did I do? Here. Moshlo, the leaders of these countries where the Jews are found, right? Yahelalu, they praise themselves, says God. But Tamid kol hayom shmi menatz. But me, what do they do to me? They defile my name, right? They defile my name. Now it's a big thing. They say this guy from the, what's his name? Yashkela, he's God. He's God. He creates you. He created the world. He keeps you alive. Oh, yes, he does. Right? That's what's called, that's against the third commandment of the 10 commandments. Right? That's blaspheming. And therefore, Yidami, my people will know Shmi, my name. And therefore, by Yamahu, in that day, when I redeem all the Jews, Ki Anihu, I am the one. Hamadaber Hineni, I'm the one that's speaking. Man avu ala horim, Raglei, how pleasant is it on the mountains, my feet. How pleasant is it, the feet that are announcing Mashmiya, and another word for announcing peace. Mavaser Tov, that are announcing good. Mashmiya Yeshua, and announcing salvation. Omer L'Tzion, saying to Zion, Melech Elokayach, say to the Jewish people, your king is God. Your God is the king. Don't take any other king, only the creator of the universe. Call Sofayech Nas'u, call the voice of they raise their voice. Call Sofayech, a voice of like singing. They elevate. Yachtav Yuranenu, all the Jews together will sing. Ki ayin be'ayin, because eye to eye yiru, they will see. B'shuv Hashem Tzion, everyone will see God eye to eye. How can you see God eye to eye? That makes any sense? Well, it says in the 10 Commandments, when God gave the 10 Commandments, this was like in Parshat Etchanan. It said, Panim b'panim. The Jewish people at Mount Sinai saw God face to face. And so it's going to be in the future that the Jews will see God eye to eye. Pitzchu v'rananu yachtav, break forth and sing together. Charvot Yerushalayim, the destroyed cities of Jerusalem. Because now destroyed doesn't mean only physically, it can be destroyed spiritually, which certainly it is now. Because God will comfort his people. Go al Yerushalayim, the Redeemer of Jerusalem. He will redeem Jerusalem, right? Chasach Hashem et Zeroah, God will reveal his holy arm. Leinei kol hagoyim, in the eyes and before all the nations. V'ru'u kol afsei eretz, and the world, the ends of the world will see at Yeshua Elokeinu, the salvation of God. And like we've repeated so many times, this is basically, and we got a good shot of it, how it's possible and how it was actual in the 6-Day War. In the 6-Day War, right? All of the other nations they all were against us. The United Nations were totally, how do you try to say it? They removed themselves. They let the Arabs were armed to the teeth. They were just armed with the most modern weapons. Their soldiers were motivated. They were organized. And what happened? 6 days, everyone knew, the whole world knew it was not the Jewish pilots and it was not the Jewish planning, and it was not, what is it, Moshe Dayan, and it was not, it was God. Everyone knew it was God. Everyone saw. Why didn't it last? Because, like we said, the Israeli government stepped in and said, what are you talking about? It was our generals, it was our soldiers, it was our pilots, it was our planes, and nothing whatsoever to do with God. It was pure luck. And to prove it, we're giving everything back. We're giving all the lands back. We didn't mean it. It was a mistake. They just happened to be. We pressed the right buttons by accident, right? Suru, Suru, turn away, turn away. Sa'om Misham, go away from there. Tameh alti go, it is impure, don't touch it. Sa'om mitocham hiboru, purify yourselves. Nosei kli Hashem, those who bear the vessels of God. Huh? 1 minute, 1 minute. That's right, good. Oh, here he says, no. He says, no, that's right, the vessels of God. Here he says the armor of God. Okay. You're not going to have to run away from the exile like you did from Egypt. Uben menusa, and fleeing, lo telech, you won't have to go away because no one's going to chase you. Holech lifnei Hashem, because God will go before you. He'll pull you. He won't have to push you out. Asitchem Elokei Israel, and the God of Israel, He will gather you all together. Right, and now he's talking about Mashiach. Some people, this is talking about the king Chezkiyahu, but this is not this week's HafTorah, but it's worth reading. Behold it says, behold, contemplate my servant, Mashiach, elevated, high. Let's see how he translates it over here. My servant, exalted, high, exceedingly lofty. Okay. In other words, Mashiach will come. Mashiach will be a person that will be totally elevated, like a king. Everyone says this refers to Chezkiyahu, King Chezkiyahu. He was supposed to be the Mashiach. He made some small mistake which disqualified him, but nevertheless he was. But that's not for this week. That'll be next week. So what did we learn here? We learned God is saying to the Jewish people, you really messed it up. You destroyed the 2 temples, but I am comforting you. I never left you. I love you. I'm going to gather you all together. I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to defeat your enemies, and it's going to be better than you can possibly imagine. Eye to eye, I'm going to reveal myself to you. Now let's learn Pirkei Avot a little bit.